Hello friends, welcome back to part 9 of my Tesla earnings forecast video review series. Let's check in with Loki, who has simmered down since his vociferousness in the previous video. And I will share my desktop with you. We left off with the inventory, production, and deliveries tweet. Let's proceed to tweet number 11 for part 9 of my video series, and talk about this chart comparing Tesla's automotive gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, as a percent of revenue against a revenue per vehicle sold backdrop. That's a lot of things to try to talk about. I'll show it in more detail in a second. But my takeaway that I captioned for this tweet was, even after significant price cuts, Tesla's gross margins remain very competitive against higher volume automakers. Now, what was the purpose of this chart in the first place? It looks a little different than it did in previous iterations. I have reformatted this chart with different colors. I thought these colors worked better. So let's talk first about the mountain range in the background. What is this descending line telling us? You can see even when the bars are in front of this area, you can see exactly where that area is by mentally removing the bars that are in the foreground. You can see exactly what's happening in the background. This is the average revenue per delivery. So this number was falling, and Tesla's CFO at the time, Zach Kirkhorn, remarked about how unusual it was that Tesla's gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, so after you throw the regulatory credits out, the gross margin was still improving. These bars were getting taller, even though the average revenue per delivery had been coming down pretty steadily over this time frame. That's unusual because you would have expected to see the opposite. You would have expected that as the average revenue per delivery came down, Tesla's automotive gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, would get worse. But we saw just the opposite, right? And this was a testament to how great Tesla's cost management was and how much pricing power Tesla had over this time frame. Then inflation got out of control, and the Fed decided to put an end to it by raising interest rates a lot. And what that did was it made financing car payments more expensive per month than it used to be. So when people wanted to go buy a Model 3 or a Model Y at a 6 or a 7% interest rate, it looked unaffordable to them toward the end of 2022. And Tesla needed to start cutting prices to be able to sell Model 3s and Model Ys to those buyers at monthly payments they could afford with the new interest rates. So that's what you see happening here from Q4 to Q1, automotive gross margin falling from 24 to 19% as a result of those big price cuts Tesla made. It didn't fall that much from Q1 to Q2, only from 19% to 18%. And I've actually got it improving from there. So bottoming at 18% in Q2. I mean, we'll find out when Tesla reports earnings next month. What I've got in my forecast is 20% in Q3, 21% in Q4, despite even lower prices in Q3 and a lot of inventory discounting. And how is that possible? Well, you have to look through the entire forecast model to see. But there's more to it than just what the base price is. There are a lot of other factors that I've got modeled in my forecast that show why Tesla may surprise a lot of people with improved automotive gross margins in Q3 versus Q2. A lot of people are going to expect these gross margins to get worse, and maybe they will. Maybe I'm wrong. But what's in my forecast is that they're going to improve a little to the low 20% range in the remainder of 2023. And that is my video on Tesla average revenue per delivery versus automotive gross margin, excluding regulatory credits as a percent of revenue. I'm sorry I had to make the title so long, but that's what's on this chart. It's kind of a complicated thing and worthy of its own separate video, which is why I will now outro, after checking in with my friend Loki, who's still curled up in bed, and say, if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click the like button on whatever platform you're watching it on, and thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon or on YouTube or right there on X by subscribing for only 69 cents per week. That's my recommended way of subscribing and supporting me. But a special thank you to my two executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.